Good morning, one and all. I, Dr. R. Arumuri, HOD MBA, deemed it a pleasure to welcome you all to this panel discussion on the topic Management Education Preparedness for Disruptions. On behalf of SRM College of Management, Ramapuram, I am elated to welcome the panel members. Dr. Professor Nehrika Vora, Vice Chancellor, Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University. Welcome, Madam. Mr. Nihar Ranjan Ghosh, President HR Imami Limited. Welcome, sir. Dr. Asit K. Burma, Director, Baridasan Institute of Management. Welcome, sir. Mr. Sitna Abraham, Assistant General Manager, Pay and Accounts, India Potash Limited. Welcome, sir. And as moderator of the discussion, we have Dr. C. Sundar, Dean Science and Humanities, SRM IST. Welcome, sir. I also take the opportunity to welcome our media partner and well-wisher, Mr. Jairam, Regional Head, Business Standard. Welcome, sir. And I also extend my warm welcome to Dr. Sanjeev Krishna, COO, People Business, for coordinating the event and joining the panel discussion. Welcome, sir. Last but not least, I also welcome the coordinator, Dr. P. Jyoti, and my fellow colleagues for the program. And I also welcome my dear young students across the country for attending this panel discussion. Welcome you all to this panel discussion. Before we start on the panel discussion, let me give a brief profile of the moderator. Dr. C. Sundar is the Dean of Science and Humanities at SRM IST Ramapuram, Chennai campus. He is an enthusiastic professional with more than 23 years of experience in managing all facets of educational institutions. As an established academician, he had published more than 60 papers in various international and national research journals of repute. He is a frequent keynote speaker at various international and national conferences. He had given a professional training to the faculty of UNIS group of educational institutions at Brazil. An expert speaker for career guidance program organized by the Pudiya Thalaimurai Media. He has expertise in marketing, entrepreneurship, career development, to name few. He has received many applause and he is a recipient of many Best Teacher Awards. I welcome you, sir, and I request you to take over the session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Almuri, sir. And so on behalf of SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram campus, and on behalf of Business Standard, once again, we welcome you all for this panel discussion on management education preparedness for disruptions. So distinguished panel members, distinguished participants, and my dear students, very happy morning to all. So as you're all aware that management education in India faces a lot of challenges, and there will be a lot of opportunities also. So management education in India, so we have two perspectives. So one thing is undergraduate and another is postgraduate. So now today discussion is more or less we are focusing on the postgraduate like PGDBM or MBA. So approximate 3 lakh graduates are passing out each and every year related to management education. And in the year 1991, so India faces a new economic era. So economic liberalization has happened. So that leads to demand of more number of management graduates. So as you know that a lot of domestic as well as multinational company, so they established industry and drastic growth in industrialization happened right from 1991. So before that, only few institutes offered a management program that to stand alone. So familiar IIM and FMS Delhi, and only few institutes and few seats are available for management. So after 1991, there is a great demand arises, and the regulatory body, so they had permitted the private as well as the government education institution to start up the management program. So from 91 to till date, so more than 50,000 institute, they are offering a management program. Now the topic is we are going to discuss about the disruption, preparedness for the disruption. So my dear student friends, I hope both undergraduate and postgraduate, you are be the part of this program, you're listening, and you're going to get the valuable insight. It will be shape your career in a right way in your future. So two perspective, so we are going to deal with now today. So one thing is the student, you are going to take up your postgraduate management education, one point, one aspect. The second one is students are pursuing their management education. So I request the panel member to discuss about two things. So one thing, I think the participant, the few participants are pursuing their undergraduate like BBA or BCom. And the other aspect of participants is they are pursuing their postgraduate MBA. So two aspect, current pursuing MBA, so what they have to do, and so the students are doing the undergraduate, what things they have to do to take up their management education. And the disruption, we talk about the disruption only in terms of technology. So like the artificial intelligence or IoT or virtual reality or augmented reality. So once the technology replaces, and then there will be a disruption will happen. So for example, you can take the app aggregator in Ola or Uber. So that disrupted the entire travel industry. And the Tesla, they launched the driverless car. They are going to disrupt the entire automotive industry. So such kind of disruption only we usually will look into it and we'll discuss. But in management education, the disruption will happen in the mode of offering the management program. So here in Indian perspective, the mode of offering MBA program. So one thing is the regular mode. So all the students will come and they'll pursue the 2-year MBA degree. They'll come to the campus, they will study and they'll pass out. So other mode is the distance mode. So the distance mode itself, what we perceive as a disruption in the management. So now the lot of private as well as the government university, they are offering MBA program in the distance. So compared to the regular mode, a lot of people, they are pursuing their management education in the distance and they are coming out. So anyway, they are also climbing MBA graduate, and even the regular college, those are pursuing the regular mode, they are also climbing as a management graduate. So only the industry perspective, they have to decide so which one. But anyway, according to the industry, if you possess the right skill set, then so not a mean whether you are pursued regular or the distance mode. And the latest one is now most of the institute, they are coming out with the online MBA, even SRM. We are offering online MBA. So different approach and different modes of offering management education. So that leads to a lot of confusion among the student community. So it's depending upon the convenience of the student that they can take up. But as a senior administrator today, we have from the industry point of view and from the academic point of view. So we have to discuss that in what way this kind of disruption and pursuing in the management in the full time. So what thing we have to do it to differentiate. So we have to strive to differentiate from the other modes to the regular mode. That is a one aspect what we are going to discuss. And the next point is one consulting firm, they came out with the findings only 20% of management graduates, they are fit for employment or fit for employable. That is a we don't know whether 3 lakh graduate we are passing out from the country, and if they says that only 20% are odd, they are fit for employable, and I don't know whether the remaining people, so we are doing injustice, or so that particular resources what we are trying to do that. And so literally we are seeing that management graduate, they are working in Swiggy, the management graduate, they are working in the low profile job. And so whose mistake is, it's a mistake of institute, or it's a mistake of whom? So that point, and where is the gap arises? So why all this particular, why we cannot improve the quality or productivity of that management graduate? So once they can pass out, we can improve the productive level. So how we can able to approach to improve the productive level? So that also one thing we like to know from the industry perspective as well as the academic perspective. It's we seeing that it's in a disaster. Already India has having the one of the competitive advantages, demographic dividend. So we have the population of 17 to 34. So this is a greatest advantage towards India. So either we can convert it as an advantage, or it's to be a disaster. So it's in the hands of the educational institution and it's hands of the policymaker. So today we have Vice Chancellor with us, and that too related to the entrepreneurship and the skill India. So we are expecting more how we can be able to minimize this kind of disaster will happen. So each and every time the Prime Minister insisting on that entrepreneurship and to improve the skill. So separate skill council is formed to improve the skill set. So that will lead to the betterment of the country. So that as you know that all other developed nation, the age they are having the old age and they are depend on the developing nation for the especially for the human resource. So in that way, either whether we are moving towards the right approach or what type of strategy we have to adopt to make it. So that kind of deliberated discussion, if it is there, then it will be helpful for us, not only for the student, the faculty member who are listening and a part of this particular discussion, so they can also move towards in the positive direction. So this thing, generally all people, they will say that due to lack of quality faculty and due to the drastic gap between the industry and academia. So a lot of institute, they offer management program like other programs. So they will not treat management as a management program. So as a they will come, they will teach, they will conduct examination, and they will give a certificate, and the student will pass out, they will come as a other graduate. So how what type of thing and measure they have to take for to make such kind of quality improvement. And mostly they says that so now this is our, we are in the management education field for the past 20 years. We are seeing that so a lot of people, they are doing this management as a normal courses, but only few institute will put benchmark ourselves with a tier 1 institution, and right from pedagogy and right from curriculum and right from all other aspect industry connect. So we will do, so we'll also see the changes. So the people coming out from the institute, so how they are working and how they are doing. So my perspective related to management education here as an institute, as a faculty, as in a policy. So how we can able to measure whether that particular institute offering a quality education, so based on the student outcome. So once you are a graduate passed out, they are entering into the corporate field. So either they are fit for that corporate field, they are fulfilling the needs and expectation of the corporate field. And once if they fulfill, then we see that that particular institution providing the quality. Unless otherwise, if you passed out and they are not able to get the correct employment, then that institute, they are not doing the justice. And this is a very great topic. And so thanks to all the panel member and thanks to the business standard. So they are also immediately accepted our invitation to organize such kind. It's not in a panel discussion. We are doing the corporate social responsibility. So after the panel deliberation, so if some 0.1 or 1% changes happen in the management education industry, so definitely we will hope, because so a lot of people, they are interested to start up enterprises. They are shown interest to start their establishment in India. There is a great demand for management graduate, but we could not able to utilize that demand. So because of there is a lot of gap arises. So what industry is expected and what institution is offering. So as a management faculty, and so we are doing justice in this panel discussion. We invited a speaker both from industry perspective and academic perspective. And from the academic perspective, both are stalwarts. So one from Madam from Vice Chancellor from Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University, VC level. And another professor is a director of Bharatdasan Institute of Management. So both are stalwart in the respective field. And same thing from the industry, they are also stalwart in the respective field. Both are in the terms in the designated of president level, and that too in the HR field. So they are directly associated with the human resources. So we are doing justice on that part of identifying and selecting the panel member. So now the thing is, the final, my point is we are moving towards Industry 4.0. So there are a lot of, so now that machine to machine interaction will be more rather than human to machine interaction. So in this scenario, so once all the company, they are migrating and moving towards Industry 4.0. So in this particular aspect and situation, so I request the panel member to throw a light on that. So what type of skill set is required? So if 50% of industry move towards the Industry 4.0, so IoT and artificial intelligence plays a very vital role. So now that AI and IoT or AR or VR, it's not a terminology used by the computer professional. Even for all other normal professional, you should know so what type of impact will happen in the future industrial perspective, because once if you completed your program, final launch pad is the industry only. So the changes happen in the industry should be academia. So in this way, also I request the panel member to share few things and what type of training or what type of skill set we have to provide to face in the future employment. So with this, it's my privilege and honor to introduce the panel member on this August gathering. And first and foremost, I'm very happy to introduce Professor Dr. Neharika Vora, Madam, Vice Chancellor at Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University. Madam, thank you very much, ma'am, for your presence. Thank you very much. And she is a specialist in behavioral science and on leave from IIM Ahmedabad, where she served as a professor in organizational behavior area for 21 years. She has been involved in Center for Innovation and Incubation in Entrepreneurship at IIM Ahmedabad and is currently the director of center. She has extensive experience with the corporate sector as a consultant, coach, mentor, and independent director. She has won the Best Instructor Award and has been the chairperson of IIM Ahmedabad doctoral program. Madam has published over 70 peer-reviewed research papers in top-level international and national journal and authored 3 books and developed teaching material so that is used in several countries. So on behalf of all the participants, ma'am, we welcome you for this panel discussion. Thanks for your presence, ma'am, valuable presence. Yeah. Next, is a known figure in the industrial arena, Mr. Nihar Ranjan Ghosh, a President Human Resource Imami Limited. So sir is currently President HR for Imami Limited, the flagship company of US $3 billion. In his previous assignment, Nihar held the responsibility of Executive Director, Corporate Human Resource at RP Sanjeev Goenka Group. Sir was also a founding member and Executive Director HR for the retail sector in RP Sanjeev Goenka Group for over a decade. So with the responsibility of Spencer Retail Limited, Music World Retail Limited, and Howborn Paint Cafe India Limited. So he was a gold medalist in master's degree in social work. So Nihar is a seasoned HR professional with nearly 3 decades of rich and diverse experience in multinational corporations. He has also worked at Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, National Dairy Development Board, and Reliance Industries. Nihar is passionate about helping others grow by harnessing their potential and encouraging them to blossom. Fantastic, sir. So it's a lesson to us also, your last line, harnessing their potential and encouraging them to blossom. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your presence. And another great stalwart in the educational field, Dr. Asit K. Burma, Director, Bharathidasan Institute of Management, we normally called BIM, and IIT Madras and IIM Ahmedabad alumnus. Dr. Asit K. Burma has over 33 years of industry as well as the academic experience, having played senior leadership role in corporate like CMC, formerly IBM and now TCS, Tech Mahindra, and in academics like Jagdish Shet School of Management, Bangalore, and IMT Ghaziabad. Prior to joining Bharathidasan Institute of Management as its director, Dr. Asit makes impact at the intersection of teaching, research, and industry consulting, leveraging his rich experience in academic and industry. His specific contribution lies in helping the institution prepare students for business of tomorrow in the age of Industry 4.0. He has been instrumental in guiding CII, FICCI, Tamil Nadu State Council, NASCOM, and the Society of Automotive Engineers in preparing several concept notes and policy recommendations. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable presence, sir. Thank you, sir. And finally, the another stalwart in the HR area, so Mr. Sitana Abraham, Additional General Manager, Personnel and Administration, Indian Potash Limited. So, sir is a postgraduate in agriculture and management for the last 13 years, has been heading HR and administration in the prestigious Indian Potash Limited. Prior to that, he was working in Madras Fertilizer Limited for 27 years. He involves himself in a lot of training program and public discourses. He has been awarded with the prestigious CEO with HR Orientation Award to felicitate his long career and contribution in HR. So recently, he was awarded the Super HR Achiever Award during February 2021 by World HRD Congress and got the National Best Employer Award. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable presence. So now we'll move to the panel discussion. I humbly request our Vice Chancellor, ma'am, to share her views related to the topic, management education, preparedness for the disruption. Ma'am, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sundar, for the introduction and setting the context of this entire meeting. Thank you, each one of you, for being here for this conversation. I think I will just take about 5-7 minutes to make some remarks about this entire bit. When you hear everything together, it seems like there is a gloom and doom. Graduates are not getting jobs, organizations are not finding talent, unemployment is a really large problem for the country, and so on and so forth. And in that context, if I'm a graduate, I'm worried whether I will get a job or not, whether I will find my potential at this point or not. And these are all very, very important questions for, I think, any student to ask at this point of time. So in that context, I would like to structure my thoughts in two ways. One, to say that
Madam, there is an audio disruption. Hello. Hello.
There is any technical error, ma'am, from your side?
Madam, we are not able to hear you. Hello.
Sorry, everybody. I had got logged out. Could finally log in.
Ma'am, she was.
Yeah, madam. Yeah. So there was some disruption. Madam is just again connecting.
Shall we wait, sir? Shall we
We can wait. Just a moment, she'll be joining.
Okay.
Yeah, she has joined.
I'm sorry, this is what technology does for all of us. Irrespective of how many backups you have, something will happen. So I was just saying that, the way things are, there is this whole conversation that the general management is dead. And I think given the way Industry 4.0 is, and the 2021 report on future of work shows that there is a likely that in the next 6 to 7 years, 50% of the industry is going to be replaced by people, by machines. So in that context, I think management graduates cannot simply be generalists. There are going to be roles for people in supply chain. There are going to be roles for people in manufacturing. There are going to be roles for people in finance, in HR, in IT, and all of that. But as a management graduate, if you don't know in depth some of this, then you will not be employable. That is one aspect, and I think every management graduate should say, what is the skill that I have based on which, irrespective of whether my degree of MBA is there or not, I can still survive. So that is one thing that as a academic researcher, I would like to, and an administrator in an education, I would like to say. The second thing is, a lot of times when you ask industry, or if you look at people's reason for why they're successful or unsuccessful, is industry says that the graduates we have are unemployable. They don't have employability skills, which are often very narrowly construed as presentation, communication, interview skills. Unfortunately, it is not just presentation, communication, and interview skills. Or fortunately, these actually include critical thinking, systems thinking, problem solving, design thinking, negotiation, leading, working in groups, collaboration, competition, and so on and so forth. And these are skills that actually management graduates have a lot of possibility to develop during their program. So whether it is a BBA or a MBA, you are given the fact that you will study OB, you will study HR, and I'm not saying that because they are my subjects, but given the fact that you will study them, you will definitely actually be exposed to all of this. So if my thought is that as an MBA graduate, my skill comes in just passing an exam, sorry to say that doesn't work. You will need to use your time in the college, in the university, in wherever you are, to develop your skills at negotiation, competition, collaboration, team building, leadership, design thinking, critical thinking, systems thinking, problem solving. And as you will see, these are skills that are just there. Everybody needs to know them. It doesn't matter what subject you are. So again, when you are studying, and as faculty, when we are teaching, rather than just focusing on delivery of concepts, can we actually teach the students some of these aspects? Because these are the ones that, when taught through in the context of the subject, actually makes a graduate employable, actually makes them attractive to the industry. So often we say, unfortunately, many of our school system has made us great test takers. It has made us great, people who can take very good exams and get high marks. But unfortunately, our school system doesn't instill in us what we are calling the scout mindset. A mindset of a scout who is curious, who is wanting to learn, who is wanting to find out why things work the way they do. So that is one very important aspect as well. And the last thing that I would like to say is that please learn to learn, because that is what will make you future ready. Because most of us, when we were studying in our schools and colleges, did not had not seen a computer and had not seen a cell phone. And yet we all learned and we graduated to using them and being fairly good at it, just because we have the skill of learning to learn. So make sure no matter what you learn to learn. And it's a natural human process. The second thing I want to say is, don't construe your education as only having learned a bunch of 50 concepts. I think construe your education as somebody who walks out with a skill, and a skill is defined as something when you do something well, whether it is speaking, whether it is writing, whether it is coding, whether it is counseling, whether it is listening to people, it doesn't matter. When you do something well and you develop discretion and judgment in it, right? And the last is you understand the science behind it. You understand the reason behind it. So don't just memorize, don't just pass a test, don't just, because then you will not be ready for the disruptive world. You will not be attractive. You will not be employable in the long run. While your job, your dad or your college might get you a first job, but to be employable and successful in the long run, I think you need to develop a mindset, you need to be employable, and you need to at least know something very well, whatever that might be, that you choose to learn. So maybe I'll stop here. Thank you, and happy to hear, take a question or hear other participants, please.
Yeah, wonderful, ma'am. It's a lot of takeaways, and the skill set what you mentioned here, we also noted down. Like, so here, I think almost tier 1 institution, they are providing like design thinking, problem solving, leadership. But now the industrial 4.0, ma'am, and so related to entrepreneurship, I like to have one question, ma'am.
Okay.
So as a management student, so they are preferred to take up employment rather than employer, a job provider. And you can give some kind of motivation to the student community, so where they can take up the entrepreneurship as their career. So what is the scope on that, and what are the various avenue available once the student completed MBA? Immediately they can take up their entrepreneurial venture, or so later after gaining some rich experience, they can take up the entrepreneurial venture.
Okay. So entrepreneurship is definitely, many of us have been saying this, that if you want to be an entrepreneur, this is a very good time in India to be an entrepreneur. There is a lot of support. There is also a lot of celebration of entrepreneurship, right? Typically today, as compared to the time when we were growing up, I have friends who did not ever try entrepreneurship because they never thought they would get married if they were entrepreneurs. They wouldn't find a bride, or they wouldn't, and all of that. And yet today, I think if you're an entrepreneur, you are valued, you're welcomed, you're celebrated. So it's the right time. The time is right. There are a lot of funds that are available for startups, there is incubation support, there is a lot of hand holding, yesterday we were doing a meeting of our incubation center, and our worry was that nobody will be interested in the 5 lakhs 10 lakh grants that we give, because today anyone can get a 10 lakh grant easily. There is no big deal. So there's money available, the society is ready to accept entrepreneurship. But I think one thing that you need to realize is that while entrepreneurship might look very interesting, it is not an easy process. It requires, I often say running a business is like a baby that never grows up. Right? No matter how many years you spent being an entrepreneur, it will have its own requirements and pain. However, I think entrepreneurship is about, if you are somebody who likes challenge, if you are somebody who likes to create an answer questions. If you are somebody who's constantly thinking of what else can I do with myself, how can I reach my best potential, I think management education prepares you for entrepreneurship very well, partly because when we study an MBA, we don't only study about the context of business. We study social enterprises, we study governments, we study public, private, all kinds of context, schools, hospitals, your cases, your context will be from all of these. And therefore, if you are doing MBA and if you think you want to get into business, pay attention to the context in which some of the concepts are taught, right? Don't just pay attention to the concept, pay attention to the context. I have learned the most as a professor when I have paid attention, when I've gone and looked at a new industry. So I've looked at the Arvind Eye Care Hospital from Madurai. That has been it was a very shaping experience for me. I've looked at Decathlon, I've looked at the shipping industry, the truck industry, and all of that, because what it does is when I look at a different context, I also learn a whole lot about it. And that prepares me also to take risk and find challenges and solutions in those areas. So I would say, yes, take it up, but do the best, take the best out of the MBA context by taking the time to read whatever is available in whatever context, because that is what prepares the mind. As they say, education is like a parachute. An idea is like a parachute. Once opened, it can never be, folded back. So get your mind to open several parachutes is what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. And finally, one last question. So kindly advise to our faculty side, faculty members, especially for the management faculty member. So what is your advice, ma'am, at present scenario?
So I would say spend 30 to 35% of your time reading, and at least 30% of your time really immersing yourself in a certain industrial context. And it need not be the same for all your life, but learn, because you never learn until you immerse yourself in an industrial context. I must say that just before I became the Vice Chancellor, I was writing a case on Decathlon, which is a sport company, French multinational. I spent about 1.5 years writing the case, which means I went to Coimbatore, I went to Delhi, I went to Ludhiana, I went to Bangalore, I went to Chennai, just to understand how that whole business is organized. I learned not so much about Decathlon itself, but I also learned a lot about the whole, the industry, the customs, the logistics, the warehouse, the production, and so on and so forth. Who else will teach you, right? How will you ever learn it if you don't invest in it? Yeah. So I would say understand the context. And the third is, please do some research, because research also sharpens your mind. It also makes you more, and don't do research just for publishing it. Do research because that allows you to remain curious and active. So that would be my 3 things for the faculty.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. As you all know, you have appointment with Deputy Chief Minister.
Yes.
So thank you very much on behalf of SRM IST Ramapuram Business Standard.
Thank you.
So we extend a sincere thanks and gratitude, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank you
madam.
very much.
Thank you. I'm sorry I have to leave, but I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
we can, keep connected. Thank you.
Definitely.
So I
Definitely.
request.
Thank you.
Yeah. So hope the session is going a fantastic way. The next panel member I'm going to invite is a stalwart in HR. So none other than Mr. Nihar Ranjan Ghosh, President HR Imami Limited. So humbly request sir to throw away a few lights on the topic, and then we will have the Q&A, sir. Please, sir, please.
So thank you, Dr. Sundar, and all my fellow panelists, and a very warm welcome to all the students who are attending this conference today. I'm very happy that I could find time to join this. Thank you all for inviting me to be part of this. In fact, when you were developing the agenda, and I made a suggestion saying that, rather than talking about what is post-COVID, let's talk about a much broader concept, saying how do we become ready for disruption? Because COVID is just one incident. Okay, there would be many more. I think COVID has opened our mind to the fact that life is full of disruptions, and in today's context, disruption is going to be coming from many corners. So first is technology. All right, and you were giving the example of Ola, Uber, how it changed the transportation industry. Similarly, we're seeing things happening in technology. Until 5 years back, all the telecom companies thought that voice is the revenue model, and came one player and they're saying that no, there is no revenue from voice. It is a data business, right? The entire concept. So basically, it's the innovation or new business model that's going to create disruption. Third is climate. And we are starting to see very many examples of it. In fact, I read somewhere a couple of weeks back, they're saying that by 2030-35, most of the coastal cities of India would be predominantly underwater. So what happens to people who are buying seafront homes in Chennai and Vizag and Mumbai? All right. So, and what happens to those cities, where billions and billions have been invested? Similarly, the emerging geopolitical situation. I mean, I don't know what's going to be the spiraling effect of what is happening in Afghanistan, and how is that going to be changing the landscape in Southeast Asia and in the SAARC countries. And you are seeing many other disruptions happening with China emerging as a power, which is a coercive power. How does that changes the dynamics in the global scenario as well as in the local market, so far as you do business? Because please remember that 50% of the products that we use today in our day-to-day life is coming from China. Tomorrow, suppose there is a complete shutdown on our China business relation. What happens? Are we ready to replace those products with products that we want to use? And what happens to companies which deals with the Chinese goods and products? So there's going to be a, source of disruption is also geopolitical, financial markets. Now, if the stock market crashes, the valuation of your company goes in thin air, and you had big plans to leverage your market cap to fund your next round of growth and expansion and diversification, everything goes into a shelf. Political reforms. Government is contemplating bringing in a lot of policy reforms. Now, these policy reforms are going to have deep impact. I mean, right now we are on the cusp of bringing in the labor code, where we are saying that India has about 150 different labor legislations. We are going to bring it under one uniform labor code, which is going to have 4 segments. Now, that's got far-reaching impact, the way we've done business, the cost of labor, the way you manage labor, and that's going to be creating a huge. So the way we create org structure and staffing, if that is enacted finally, is going to see a huge change in this thing. And finally, consumer orientation. The way we have understood the consumer in terms of what it wants to buy in terms of goods and services that we sell through our businesses, that is going to undergo a very significant change. So I think, when we want to especially sensitize our students around how and what forms of disruptions are going to come, I think we need to give them case studies involving some of these factors, which is technology, innovation stroke business model change, climate, geopolitical situation, impacts of disruption in financial market, policy reforms, and huge shift in consumer trends. I think there needs to be a very sound understanding that everybody has. I always consider myself to have been born in one of the best countries in the world. And the reason is that when we were growing up, and even today, until this pandemic came, we as citizens of a free India don't even understand the concept of disruption. All of us have had straight 17 years of education starting from class 1 till post-graduation. No break in education. In fact, as an HR guy, one of the things that we are taught that when you are looking at a CV, if a guy has a gap year, there is a suspicion. What did this guy do for that year? Why did he have a break? So it's a stigma in our country if you've had a disruption in your continuous education, and it's viewed with suspicion. So we have been gifted by our founders of this nation and successive governments a very assured life that you can look at, that I will graduate at 22 or 24. I will then work for next 34, 35 years and retire at 60. This is my retirement plan. And we've been assured that many generations have experienced that uninterrupted life. But imagine what happened during freedom struggle. Typically from 1930s till 1947. What happened to all those bunch of youngsters who were part of this nation? What happened to their regular education? Because there were strikes, there were bunds, universities were not operating. So what I'm trying to say is that disruption is going to become a way and part of life. We've had far too long an uninterrupted life. So it's now going to hit us back and bring that disruption back into our lives, and we need to be prepared. Fortunately, there is power of information with us, power of technology with us. So our ability to be able to respond to a disruption is a lot higher. Now I'm going to come back to, what is it that industries, if this is what is going to happen, what is it that the industry is going to look for in the talent that it's going to hire? As a consequence, what should a business school do which is producing this talent? Okay, vis-a-vis what it has been teaching so far to what it should be teaching in the coming years, so that we are creating industry ready talent, and the industry ready talent is able to come and deliver. First thing is that please understand, going forward, industry is not going to have a lot of tolerance and patience to allow any talent that it brings in a huge learning curve, because the business scenario does not have that luxury of time that I bring in a manager or a management trainee, allow him 1 full year to be taught as to what he needs to do. In fact, in my view, and I have been recruiting from campuses for last 30 years now, even if from the top college, which is, say, I am Ahmedabad or I am Bangalore or I am Calcutta, that graduate still comes and spends a year as a management trainee. Why should a company, when it's paying a premium salary, be investing for the best talent in the country a year to learn what to do? And in a way, I always believe that this management trainee program is actually an antithesis to industry ready talent. So from that perspective, if you ask me, is there an industry ready talent that any B school is producing today? No. So despite all the case studies that you are taught to give you a closer understanding, but the fellow still has to come and work in the field, go through a structured learning experience program for a year before we think he's ready to be given a business responsibility. So I think the curriculum now needs to shift. How do we bring, and practically what is the problem? Do these graduates from large number of good business schools, when they come in, do they have knowledge? Yes, they have knowledge. They know tools, they know techniques. What they don't have? They actually don't have the practice. Okay. So before I give an individual a managerial responsibility, and a management trainee is going to become a first line manager, when I'm entrusting a small part of the organization with people with resources in this individual's hand, I want to be sure that this guy is going to be able to handle it perfectly. As a consequence, I want to allow him time to practice as a management trainee, learn those ropes, and then go on to take that job. Okay. I think it's time that B schools have to look at something which might sound very rudimentary, but go back to something like an apprenticeship program and embed it in the program. Like, for example, that you do 6 months of classroom, actually go and work in a company for 6 months, come back, study another 6 months, go back, work another 6 months. An industry needs to create space for these apprentices to come and work and go back, like the way we do for technical trade. So then by the time this individual graduates after 2 years, or maybe this program can become a 3-year program. Why are we so fixated that an MBA has to be only a 2-year program? Why can't it be a longer program? All right. But then the graduate that I'm bringing out into employment market, this individual both has knowledge that we have given them through the classroom sessions, which is, conceptual understanding, analytical skills, at the same time, hands-on practice. And I think this is something that I would very, very, very strongly, recommend that both industry and business schools on a partnership consider this and look at a very differentiated model. Okay. The second thing, given the kind of thing that's happening, while, as Professor Niharika Vora was saying, that, it's going to become a world of specialization. And yes, while we believe that an MBA program is a general management program, an individual, while specialization is something, but that specialization is to be taken with a pinch of salt. It is basically somebody who is a jack of all trades. Mastery is yet to be acquired. Mastery will be acquired on the job. So I think we need to bring in things like super specialization. So today, individuals are possibly, after graduating, they are going to be going to a Udemy, they are going to be going to a Coursera, they are going to this thing to get additional certification. Now, can these certifications of super specialization over and above the program be made available to the students right there on the campus itself? Or, if you think resourcing is going to be a challenge, build partnerships with many of these institutions which are offering that. But at the end of the day, when your graduate goes out to the job market, not only does he have what is your own proprietary education that you've given to this individual, but you've also supplemented that with many other modules, which may not necessarily be embedded in you, but you need to bring in from somewhere through a partnership. So I think the time has come for B schools also to look for opportunities for co-creation and partnership. And that's something that business has been doing for a very long time. And there are instances where even competition comes together to, now look at the telecom industry. Airtel and Vodafone are competitors. All right. There is this company which basically hosts all the telecom towers. It's a joint venture company between Vodafone and Airtel. The entire telecom tower infrastructure company is a joint venture company between the two competitors. So that's the way forward, that you don't have to invent everything, but you need to ensure that my graduates who are my products have access to resources which I am trying to synergize and make as an offering. So a couple of things that I would like them to get a perspective while they're in B school is develop a worldview and macro perspective. So when you are creating a business leader, it is very important that, I am a businessman, so I don't care what is happening in the economy. I don't care what is happening in the government. I don't care what is happening in the United Nations. These are worldview understanding that is required, because the day you go and grab the job, you are managing 360 stakeholders. It's not only your supervisor. Okay. So one is, how do we help them develop a worldview and a macro perspective? Ability to establish cause and effect for every factor that impacts business with a 360 view of the situation. How do I look at business situation holistically and I have a very high degree of analytical ability, irrespective of the function. Now, analytics is a requirement which is not today only limited to the guys who are doing supply chain or doing sales or doing marketing. Every stream of business requires very high degree and precision of analysis and understanding, because you can't go wrong. The cost of a wrong decision is very, very, very high today. All right. Ability to understand abstract and work with clarity in ambiguity. In this topsy-turvy world, not many things can be defined. So how do we prepare our students to be able to understand the abstract, yet have a clarity of thought in a very ambiguous work situation? Third is sharp understanding of geopolitical situation. This is something that I've talked about. I mean, are you guys going to be talking to students about the impact of Afghanistan? They need to know. Should a situation like that, unfortunately, to happen anywhere else, how do we respond? So we need to be extremely aware of understanding what is also happening in the broad local and global policy changes that are happening. Now, when US makes a policy change, today being a connected world, you realize that Indian stock market, Sensex goes down. Now, my student needs to understand how and why is the Sensex getting impacted because of a policy change in the US. So some of those need to be built in. And I think one particular area that B School can help the students, which is around building character. Now, how do you build character? First thing is that, can we create experiences while they live on campus or they are part of the curriculum and education program? We build resilience. So how do we build our program in a manner? It is building resilience, because that is going in a disruptive world. Resilience is going to be a demanded competence that you will fall down, but you need to learn how to get up and go. So I don't know whether the examples of resilience can come out of business world, probably not. Can it come out of armed forces? Possibly yes. So do we tie up with the army to come and teach our students what is the meaning of resilience? How are the commandos without any food sent on a mission for 7 days, 9 days, 10 days to go and attack an enemy front and come back? They don't say that, oh, it is 9 o'clock, enemy, please stop. This is my lunch break time. I will finish lunch and then we can start firing again. So I possibly think there are going to be multiple sources from where we go to bring in this learning. And it truly has to be an interdisciplinary approach, inter-industry, inter-domain. But building resilience is a requirement for somebody to be successful in future business. Adaptability. I mean, we were very lucky that I was taught HR as a vocation, and I could earn my entire, now I'm on the 38th year. In fact, I'm retiring in October. So I completed 38 years of my entire career journey only working in HR. Of course, I was fortunate to have had business responsibilities as I went along, but I always retained HR as an area of responsibility. I don't know whether that's the option that this generation, which is going to be entering the world of work, will have, that they will continue to work for next 35, 40 years in the same space and domain. They might have to change. You might start today with the HR as a specialization, but end up doing something else 10 years down the line. So do you have the ability to adapt and move into a new domain? So adaptability and understanding adaptability in true sense and experiencing adaptability is something that needs to get created. handle failures and disappointment and success. Because failures are going to become more and more and more part of life for everybody. And I have seen many, got an appraisal rating of 3. Rest of the batch of management trainees got a rating of 4 and 5. This guy is completely devastated. Like as if the life has ended. 2 other batchmates got promoted. I didn't get promoted. Majorly disappointed. The guy gets into a depression. People need to learn that life is not fair. And you can't take life for granted. Failure is as much a part of life as success is. And we need to be able to deal with failure and disappointments in a very effective manner and take the learning and build that into our strength. So that needs to build into our character. Learn very quickly. Sorry, I'll need another 5 minutes to complete.
Sir, so we have another 2 guests, and
Okay.
so I will make a question, sir, from participants. They shoot a question to you, sir.
So I'll just complete in next.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So learning quickly, quick learner is a mandatory requirement today. How quick a learner you are. Flexibility in understanding and calibrating one's stand. Don't get fixated with your idea. Don't get fixated with things that you believe in. Keep yourself flexible. You need to adapt, change, and be flexible. High emotional intelligence. I think that is something that you need to put a premium on. Emotionally unstable people who can't handle emotions will not be somebody who's going to be welcomed in the world of business. So helping them to build emotional intelligence is this thing. And last but not the least is very strong technology orientation. So quick other 2, broad versus very sharp specialization is an area, something that you need to look at. Willingness to experiment and sense of adventure. Now that's something that also has to be taught, that always don't choose the safe path, because the less the risk, the lesser is the reward. So how do we build that students get more willing to experiment and there is a sense of adventure? And overall, 360 stakeholder management. So I think these are some of the areas where I would believe that the business education and students of business education need to reorient themselves to be able to adapt to a disruptive world. Pandemic was just one incident in that journey of life. There will be many more that will be coming, and we need to be ready for it. And I think in a way we need to be thankful to pandemic that it taught us, and it was an early warning for us to start looking at the world with a very different prism.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. In a short span of time, you enlighten us, both for the student as well as the institution. So we have taken all your valued input, sir. Like we have to associate with the industry, we have to create curriculum in such a way that so we can produce a graduate that straight away they can fit for the institution. So here SRM IST, we have finishing school. In the end of the semester, we are giving a right coach. We have a lot of coaches from the industry, sir. They are coaching our student. Somehow we are shaping our student to have high productive, sir. So you have one question, sir, but so now I will call the other panel. End of the panel discussion, I will ask a question to you, sir. But probably another 15 minutes it will be over. Then I will ask one question, sir.
Absolutely, sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And it's my honor and privilege welcoming the next panel member, Dr. Ashit K. Burma, Director, Bharatiya Institute of Management. So first we call Nagarika ma'am as an academician. Next we called Nihar Ranjan Ghoshar as from the industry perspective. Again, we are moving back to the industry. Sir is a stalwart in the academia, having more than 33 years of experience So now he's working in the one of the top rated business school, Bharat Institute of Management, BIM. And Sari's passion is to prepare the student for business tomorrow, and also is looking after industry 4.2. So two terminology impresses a lot, and we are also expecting a lot from you, sir. So now I invite you to share your experience to our August gathering, sir. Sir, please, sir.
Well, so good morning, and thank you so much. Thanks to Business Standard Group and also SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram campus, for calling me over. And so, as you rightly said, that I bring the experience of both practice as well as academia. And it so happens that when I bring my experience from practice, so that experience primarily comes from disruptive technology. Right from '86, when I joined my first company, CMC Limited. So that time, all that modernization, computerization in railways, in Coal India, like the passenger reservation system that you are using, or the Bombay Stock Exchange automation, or the fingerprint. So CMC was at the forefront of technology that time. And then I continued to be in the technology space. So that's why when I joined academia, so in fact, all the academic institutes like IMT Ghaziabad, then JAXOM, and also like IIM Kashipur. So they are all trying to see that how they can bring the digital element, new technology element into the curriculum. So my previous panel members, distinguished panel members, Ms. Bora and and also Mr. Ghosh, they very beautifully talked about the kind of characteristics that we look for post this disruption. So in this context, I would like to share with you my thoughts on disruption, the concept of disruption. And I will tell you what I'm doing at BIM since I joined BIM as a director on February 24th. So my intention is not to promote BIM as an institute in this forum, but to tell you that some kind of pedagogical change, some kind of curriculum specific change that is the need of the hour, and that should be brought about, and if there is some takeaway from there for other faculty members, academics, I'd be happy, and I can always collaborate with you. So in Chinese, if you write the word, this crisis, so crisis in Chinese letter, it comes in two characters. So one character, it talks about the threat, the danger. The other character, it talks about the opportunity. So what you call it disruption is of course fine, but COVID, I don't call it a disruption. Rather, COVID is just an event. Post-COVID, COVID will go away. Then now already we are hearing about getting into the phase of endemic, pandemic to endemic. That means we have started living with it. After that, there could be tsunami, there could be famine, and there are already geopolitical issues like Afghanistan, what will be the impact on Kashmir, so on and so forth. Okay, so those things will keep on coming. Okay, sometimes your monsoon in the country will be good, sometimes it may not be good. But if you look at the stock market, so does the stock market talk about, does it have any sign that we are getting into the third phase? It is not showing any sign. See, in this last 20 months of the pandemic period, India saw 30 unicorns coming up, $1,000 billion startups. 30 unicorns in India we saw in the last 20 months during the pandemic. Never before we experienced this. If you ask me that what is the time when US saw the best entrepreneurial initiatives, maximum number of startups, it is only the last 18 months. It has been unprecedented in US. Okay, the way the startups, the entrepreneurs, they have come up in US, that is unprecedented. So this is exactly what happened. So we should not be worried about different shocks, different events that happen, but we need to worry about our response to the recovery process. And right from the post-World War period, you will see our recovery has been much faster. It is getting faster. Okay. right from this 42 onwards, whatever recovery we had, recovery cycle is getting shortened, recovery is getting faster. Like say 2008-9, that this financial crisis, global financial crisis, we saw that the crisis got over very fast within about 2-3 years time. Okay, we thought that the economy will collapse, Lehman Brothers and all that gone, and what will happen? All this, real estate bust and all that. But economy could turn around, and we saw that people started looking at how these unutilized assets can be monetized, and from there we saw the emergence of shared economy business model. So before that, we had no concept of shared economy. We had no idea that you have 3-bedroom house, one room is not being used, so you can rent it out. Or you have a vehicle and you are not using it, and you can put it on a portal and use for a shared service model. So shared service model, it's an offshoot of this 2009, say this financial crisis, 2008-9, that financial crisis. People started monetizing the unutilized assets, and then it changed the business rule altogether, and it caught the this original equipment manufacturers, original suppliers, service providers, okay, with great shock. So like big hotel chain, then auto OEMs like Toyota, Hyundai and others. So they were in for shock when they saw emergence of Airbnb, emergence of Uber and all that. Then if you go back a little bit around 2002, that time there was SARS, pandemic again in Asia, and a lot of people, they were forced, especially in China, they were forced to sit at home. They came up with innovation. And that point of time in 2002, China became the innovation hub, okay, of the global. It moved the epicenter of innovation that moved from Japan to China, and we saw China growing from 2002. It's a huge growth since then. So these are changes that is happening. So when we talk about disruption, then we must look at the post-disruption recovery. Don't look at disruption. As I said, crisis has two characters. One character is danger, the other character means opportunity. Look at the opportunity. Look at the recovery. I see that the recovery that is going to happen today is driven by entrepreneurship and innovation. So how do you make your student more entrepreneur? How do you make them innovate? So these are the things that becomes very, very important in our program architecture. So again, coming back to the concept of disruptions, I primarily see that disruptions happen on 3 counts. One is technology. Okay, so AI, ML, digital technology, we all are experiencing that, the technology-led disruption. Second is the business rule-related disruption, like shared economy is one business rule, okay, that is causing disruption. Or sustainability, okay, so this is one priority today. All our thought, attitude, actions must reflect to sustainability. What happens those, this water bottling plants? What happens to Aquafina, Kinley, and all these Bisleri? Do we see those 1 liter bottle maybe 5 years down the line when they are all getting banned? Already plastics we are not seeing on the road. So sustainability is one of the business rules, getting into it. So this is causing disruption. And the third one is that the consumption pattern. So today we see the consumption pattern in the rural sector that is changing. We see the reverse migration. We see the OMR that is to be so expensive. Now you walk into any complex, so many apartments are free for rent. What happens to the Infosys? They had a huge Mysore campus helipad. They used to fly their customers from the Infosys high-tech, Bangalore high-tech city to Mysore. What happens to those helicopters? Okay. So this consumption pattern, the way we work, the way we learn, these are all changing. So these are broad disruptions. Okay. So on that disruptions, around that disruption, there are multiple events. So those events, like say pandemic, COVID-19, they only kind of enhance the impact factor of the disruption, and they also have impact on the recovery elements. Okay, so because of that, today there are multiple aspects. And then, of course, that MBA is also getting influenced. And further, that MBA curricula is influenced by the new education policy, like the way we arrange the faculty members, the way people learn, the way the MBA is structured. Maybe MBA structured, maybe 6 months they study in SRM Institute of Science and Technology. Another 6 months they can be in BIM. Another 6 months they can be in one of the IIMs, like that. So that is going to be the thing. May not be now immediately, but maybe 5, 6 years down the line. Will there be permanent faculty? No. All the institutes, management institutes, they may not enjoy having this permanent faculty. Why should I have a permanent faculty when I can take a guest faculty? Maybe I pay 7,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees per session. And if 20 sessions for 2 credit course, still having a guest faculty is much more effective than having a permanent faculty. So I'll just have only the bare minimum faculty, student faculty ratio. And for specialized course, I'll get faculty members from outside. Okay. So the way we recruit our faculty, the way students, they do their MBA, these things are changing. Similarly, the government funding for many of the, even in the government institutes, are also changing. They are slowly moving towards the self-finance. And we are moving towards a situation when our funding will come from the alumni and from the students. Then why should students' tuition fee be directed to the faculty's, moonshot research? They will not be interested. Why should I, so slowly the way we research, the kind of topics we choose, they will become more programmatic, they will get a more direction, and there will be those research that will help our students to participate in, to contribute, and also talk about it and become a better, and get a better prospect in the job market. So these are changes, these are the realities that we are looking at. And I also tell you this, my predecessor, Dr. Ghosh already touched upon it. So one aspect that I see that, and I suggest, because there is not much of time, so please go through this book by Srikant Datar on rethinking MBA. He is currently the Dean of Harvard Business School. And also World Economic Forum report on future of jobs. There are a number of reports by McKinsey and Deloitte on the future of jobs. What is a social enterprise that is going to be? So it is worth going through. But I tell you that almost 70%, or rather I would say about the 40% skill is required for the high-end jobs. Okay, that high CTC jobs, for the high CTC jobs, 40% weightage is given to social and emotional skills. Okay, social and emotional skills. So in our campus, you have to ensure that 40% of your emphasis is given to social and emotional skills. Then do you think through Coursera and other online courses, online MBA, we can really prepare graduates who can get into the top end of the brackets? No way. So it is the campus that gives them that, that solid stuff. Otherwise, they will be at the lower end of the, of the CTC. So it is again your choice. You want to have 4 lakh or 5 lakh kind of CTC or 15 lakh kind of CTC. This is not my word. This is a research done by McKinsey. And if you allow me, some time, maybe 5 more minutes, then I can tell you the kind of pedagogical change and the kind of program logic that we need to bring up. See, now going forward, few things you have to make it integral to all your courses. One is the technology, high technology. It is no longer the HR, that arbitration, appraisal system, recruitment, people management. Not those courses remain there, but you need to also look at things like HR technology, HR analytics, use of AI, ML or digital in HR. So because today's workforce is distributed, it's not under the same roof. So how do you manage distributed workforce? How do you apply nudge theory at the workplace? How do you apply all this? So this is one aspect. Now, when it comes to say finance, you need to think of sustainability finance. You need to work on say fintech. You need to look at the blockchain application in finance. If you're running operations course, you have to see supply chain 4.0. You have to see the robotic applications, in this supply chain and so on and so forth. If you are looking at marketing, then you have to see that what is a market basket analysis? How do you do predictive modeling? Okay. How do you build a recommendation engine to recommend some solutions to your customers based on their past buying behavior? All those elements are becoming very, very important. So marketing technology, digital marketing, okay, and so analytics become an integral part of the whole thing. So we have set up Center for SDG, how to make sustainability part of all curricula, like in marketing, shared economy business. This talks about sustainability finance, green supply chain. All these elements come, technology comes. So this is very, very important. The second aspect is that what Mr. Ghosh also talked about is that how do you make this campus experience help you become resilient? So that is very, very important to absorb this shock of failure. So for that, what we are doing, like in all the institutes, we have sports facility, we have clubs, but we are making it mandatory. You have to be part of clubs, part of a sports facility. And while doing it, you also earn credit. So we got the instructors in place. For the clubs, we have our pedagogical other interventions. So they learn that how to conduct a meeting, how to manage people who may not be reporting to you, how to work in a group. Okay. So these are aspects that they are learning. And the last aspect that I'll be talking about is that how to reduce that classroom to corporate this gap. Okay, Mr. Ghosh also talked about it, like how to ensure that my boys, when they join a corporate, so they are employable right from day one. For that, what we are doing, we have introduced corporate sponsored courses. Like corporates, they are sponsoring courses here on AI, ML, on investment banking, on fintech. So do they need to give me a commitment that they will hire my students? No. So do they need to pay me? No. Rather, I pay honorarium for them to come here, take care of their accommodation, travel and all that, and they're on the course. So that in that association, see, we don't create job mela. I told my, faculty members, there is no job mela. There is nothing like day zero. They should be employed while they are doing this course. So I'm telling there are at least 3 organizations today that you come, you design the course, your faculty members, let them come and teach. You spot your early talent and you tell us what all modules I need to bring in so that they are employable right from day one. So this is where they are getting a lot of comfort. So they are taking people from operations, from digital business and analytics, and also from marketing and from fintech area. Okay. So I see that at least 50 to 60 students will get placed in the process itself, and no kind of a commitment from their end. I'm doing it. So you can think of introducing such corporate sponsored courses. So these are few ideas that came to my mind while addressing this question, that how do I meet this disruption. So thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. So everyone is seeing the pandemic as a challenge, but you see it's an opportunity and a speedy recovery. So we learned a lot of things, and we are approaching a positive way. So that gives a new energy to us, sir. And she also listed the few things to be taken care by the management school for sustainable in the future. So one thing is we have to associate with the industry to offer courses, and so you have to make the student employable. Sir, with your blessings and with your support in your future association, definitely we will do and we will make things right, sir. So thank you very much, sir. And you also have one question at the end of the session. We'll have that. I'll ask you that question, sir.
Sure.
So lastly, so I humbly request Mr. Sitana Abraham, sir. Sir is joined first, and sir is going to be delivered at last, first and last, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much of your patience, and so you are given a full cooperation and support with us, sir. So we are eagerly waiting with your valuable information to us, and you have to connect both faculty as well as the student related to this particular topic, sir. Please, sir, please.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, sir, moderator, sir, for giving a good context in the beginning. And thank you, that SRM Institute of Science and Technology, for inviting and having this platform, and also a very apt topic. At this time, it's a very apt topic for the students and for the faculty. And I think being the last has got some negatives also, because everyone has covered almost everything, and we have had stalwarts talking before me. For example, Ora Madam, Ghosh sir, and Asit sir. And Mr. Asit sir and Ora Madam have already touched on all the academician thing. Then I'm not going to touch on that. Nihar sir, he has touched on both, and what is that the expectation and all. I'm very much, I could sense by the body language of Dr. Sundar, moderator, the time consciousness that he's going through. I could understand, sir, but I'll try to be as apt as possible. And I'm very much eager to talk to the students who are going to be in the industry in the coming days. So I'm not going to touch more on those kind of things that what has been touched by the other people. So I will just touch on their employability, how they are going to be in their business or in their career. So when Ora Madam and as well as the moderators they were telling, so that entrepreneurship is going to be also a very important thing in the coming days. So what I thought, the disruption. See, disruption, we always say about the disturbance or the problem that occurs on any event that spoils or disturbs us. We are used to all these things. It's not a new thing. We talk about pandemic, all this. The preparedness for this disruption also, I was just thinking, every one of us on a day-to-day life is also prepared for the disruption. Having a UPS in the house and office is a preparedness for the disruption. Having a stepney in our car is a preparedness for disruption. And for COVID, for the third, God forbid it should not happen. Government is preparing so many things, it's preparedness. But there are so many types of disruptions. Business disruption is there, career disruption is there, and startup disruption is there, your personal disruption, family disruptions, financial disruptions. So now for the students who are eager to know about their employability or how they are going to do, I was just thinking, maybe, sir, I will not take more than 5 minutes. I'm conscious of the time. So the thing is, two things that I'm going to touch is, one is the business disruption, which will deal with the students who are eager to go to the entrepreneurship. And I will touch on the career disruption, which the students who are on the employability list who feel, okay, that entrepreneurship is not my kind of thing, I will go for the career. So what is a business disruption? Business disruption, as Asit sir also referred a book, I would just refer a name. His name is Professor Clayton Christensen. He is from Harvard, business school. He is the father of this business disruption. He says a product or a service which, when enters a market, when it replaces or displaces another product, that's called as business disruption. Supposing that product can not only replace or displace, it can enter into a new market, or even a thing which can replace the existing market also. So my dear students, when you go into the entrepreneurship, as time is very limited, 2.5 minutes I'll have to share between both. So when you go into the entrepreneurship, you should be aware there are chances of business disruptions. Everything is not going to be the bed of roses. So opposition or disruptions or all the problems may come. As people said, so many things were said about skill set, improvement, all that. I would tell to the entrepreneurship oriented students as well as to the career oriented students, I will say the only thing, in addition to what all they said, is you'll have to have a mindset and attitude of positiveness. As Dr. Asid said, this COVID is not going to be a negative thing, he said. So many people say disruption will not only be a negative thing, people take it as an opportunity also. So in the business disruption, I would just like to say 2 points to you. Business disruption can be offensive, or business disruption can be, competitive, offensive and defensive. The offensive people tell it's innovative. Supposing you make a product, you make a technology-oriented product which will displace all other things. This is an offensive thing. So I wish you, many of you who are listening to me, can become entrepreneurs and keep this in mind. Disruption is also always not the negative. You can have the disruption of a innovative disruption, which that Clayton always talks about. It is an offensive mode. On the defensive mode, supposing if you are not aware about the disruption which is going to hit everyone, people are aware about the disruption which is going to come, the agility and the flexibility. Dr. Ghosh was also telling about the flexibility. So flexibility and adaptability is the mindset that you should have. You should be ready for the disruption. At that point of time, you can easily have a countering effect, as that is called as defensive mechanism or competitive mechanism to come out. And you can go as a market person or an industry person. I can tell you, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are on the defensive mode, you can attack and reach a person or market which is not feasibly covered by others. You can enter new markets. So when disruptions comes to the entrepreneurs, don't get discouraged. Disruptions are there to come. Disruptions are there to likely to happen. But have the mindset that disruptions can always be not negative. You can also have the positive, innovative disruption, which you as youngsters with the latest technology, everything you can have. Only one mindset is have the attitude of positiveness, have the attitude of upscaling and developing yourself. And another 2 minutes, I'll come to the career path. What is a business disruption is there, as well as career disruption is there. What is career disruption? Career disruption occurs to an individual when his typical or usual work is getting affected. It can be on an internal path or from an external path. The external path, many people, the business disruption as well as the career disruption, many people have told about so many things, technologies, so many things, other things. I don't want to again touch on that. Technology is a very important thing which disrupts your career also. Not only the business, your career can get disrupted. If you're in a job, if you are in a concern, if you're in an industry, the technology can disrupt your career. Automation, outsourcing, all that. Merger and acquisition can disrupt your career. So many other things. The failure of the organization, you may join a good organization, but the failure of the organization, LVB was doing so good, Lakshmi Vilas Bank, suddenly something happened. What happened? For HR, I get some interviews from people who are, so senior people, key managerial position people coming because their career gets disrupted. Career gets disrupted due to health like COVID and natural disasters. So many things. Again, after the government policies or economy, for example, a public sector, if it's taken over by government, or an industry which is taken over by government, from government to the private, something, that your career gets distorted. There is disruption. At that point of time, what you will have to do, you'll have to have the mindset of 4 things that I will tell you. One thing is rely on your competency. When a career is disrupted, I can call you as children because you're all so young people. I wish you, my dear students, don't get discouraged. Career disruptions may come, but one thing you'll have to do is have 100% confidence in yourself. You are educated, you are a person with skill set, you are a person with positive attitude. You can come out of that. Not only that, you should, as Madam said, as Ghosh sir said, everybody, one thing common among all the 4 panelists is you'll have to upskill, skill, technology of not only the technology, you'll have to do away with all the important things to upgrade your skills in all aspects, not just the academic courses that you're going to study. Be passionate with one subject or one area. You can, grow in that area and do wonders. Not only that, when you are disrupted in your career, the best thing is the networking that you develop. As young students, I always say, as professionals in the industry, I still have such a great network, people whom I can refer, whom I can discuss. As youngsters, as career-oriented people, you should have the point in your mind to have the good network. Not only that, when you get a good job, and when you are started earning and when you are on your career path, have this in mind. I'm not telling that career path will always get disrupted, but keep it in mind. You should have a financial stability to have these kind of things, passing stages go through. This is the external way of career disruption. But finally, I would like to say only one thing. I will not take much time, sir, another 2 minutes, but because I framed my mind, because we are running behind the time. I talked about business disruption for entrepreneurs. Again, I said attitude, positive thing. Be prepared for the disruption, you can come out. If you are not prepared for it, you will be run over. People say, even if you are on the right track, if you sit there, you'll be run over. So keep on, business. You'll have to keep on innovate, keep on do something. And finally, for career disruption, I said internal and external. I talk about the external factors which may disrupt your job. Finally, exactly 2 minutes, I'll finish. The internal factors that is for career disruption is people with skill set, people with good attitude, people who have good motivation. They switch jobs. In HR, when I interview people many times, I say, oh, you have changed 5 jobs, 10 jobs in 10 years. But here, now, for the present, technology-oriented world, people say, once in 3 years, there is a S curve which says about the competency, confidence, and switchover. People say, when you are well equipped, when you have skill set, not only the external factors which disrupt your career, the internal factors in you should push you through to say, yes, I am a valuable person for the organization. Not only this organization, I can move around and set a goal, set a thing, and move high up in the career path. So if you have that attitude to grow, sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. The beginning that where you have, this is not the end. This is not the be all and end all of your career. There is a lot of growth, but people say, some people, they don't have that, fire in them to see that career growth by switching over or, aiming for higher. They say, they see the lack or failure in them. Never see. Every one of us have failure. That's what, resilience or so many things. Never see the failure, or they don't see the opportunities outside. See, there are a lot of opportunities for youngsters. Sky is the limit. And some people, they have a, unhealed trauma, some negative things that would have happened in your, career. You keep it there. No, never do that. Some people, they don't have good mentors. Keep a good mentor or a good model, like this. When you do that, there is no chance for you to stay in the same level. As I said, disruptions are there, business disruptions, it is offensive and defensive, innovation, competition. I said, be prepared for that. If you are prepared for that, you are the king of the business in the coming days. In your career disruptions, since I don't have time, if it is time is there, we'll discuss later. But career disruption is internal as well as external. External, it's not in our control, but be prepared for that. I said 4 points. But for the internal, you'll have to equip yourself and go. Again, before closing, finally, I would like to say just 1 or 2 key quotes. The flexibility and adaptability is the only way that you can grow. As Dr. I think Ghosh sir was telling, adaptability is important. He said, 38 years I've been only in HR. I could just tell you, I am basically an agriculture graduate, MSc Agriculture, but I did MBA also. First 27 years, I was purely in agriculture-oriented marketing field, but I was doing a lot of HR activities also. Then I switched over. I'm just telling you, this is adaptability. By God, when they read about, I got some awards. Yes, any one of you can do that. That is the adaptability and flexibility. Alvin Toffler, he says, the illiterate of the 21st century is not those who cannot read and write. It is the people who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. These 3 words, keep it in your mind. You'll have to learn, then you'll have to unlearn, and you'll have to relearn. Finally, I brace it. I think her name is Brain Tracy. I liked her quote very much. She says, those people who develop the ability to continuously acquire new, better forms of knowledge that they can, apply to the work and to their lives will be movers and shakers in the days to come in the indefinite world. They'll be movers and shakers in the world to come. Finally, as a HR in training, I usually finish with a 1-line story. I would just like to finish the one-line story so that, you'll remember that. There was a, village person. There was a village function in that going on in that village. He took his small son. He couldn't see. The small son couldn't see what was happening, the function or the ritual. So the father took the son on his shoulder and said, "Are you able to see there is a red flag where the main function is going on?" The face of the small child was blooming. He smiled and said, "Papa, it's not only the red flag. There is also another green flag where there is another function going on." I would like to say the professors, the faculties, they would have brought you to some level where they could put them on your shoulder with the technology to show the red flag. But you are upskilling and improving your knowledge and having the right attitude, you can see beyond to see the green flag also, to see your life coming high and up and flying. I thank everyone for giving this opportunity, and I wish every one of these students and the faculties who are involved with them all the very best. And I hope and wish the coming days, all this pandemic and all these disruptions will go, but some of the disruptions may come. Be prepared for that and we'll be the winners. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And we feel it's in a motivational session. It's not in a panel discussion. So we learned a lot of things, sir. In a honey drop way, you explained the essence of the topic. And so you touched all the corners and what we are expected. And so beautifully you had given the input to our student community, sir. This particular pandemic period, they have to look into in a positive way. So they should not look into the negative aspect. So as a disruption, at any time it will come, but how we are going to face it boldly and confidently, that type of skill set we have to develop. So that is the need of the hour. So that beautifully you explained, sir. So definitely not only for the student, as a citizen or humans, so we have to develop such kind of skill set to face the pandemic or any kind of disruption in a positive way. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. And so we are running short of time, but there is a question for all the panel members. So I will ask first, Nihar sir. Nihar sir, are you there, sir?
Yes, very much.
Yeah, sir. Sir, one question from your side, sir, to you. So the question asked by the participants, one of the participants, Mohana Priya.
Yeah.
Sir, hiring remains a challenge for small businesses as they anticipate growth while managing cost by twin influence of technology disruption and the pandemic. As expose the overhead cost, how to face this disruption? So during this small pandemic, the small enterprises hiring, they are facing like a challenge. What is your suggestion to go about for the small enterprises, sir?
So my suggestion, I have been part of many startup businesses. I mean, they were of course not the kind of startups that you see today, which starts from garage. I have been part of startups which were promoted by large corporations, but a complete new business which started from absolute, base. So one of the mantras of startup, especially when you want to keep your overhead costs down, because there are many steps that you're taking in anticipation, and you don't know whether the scale up that you're planning will actually stabilize or not. And when you go with a permanent employee hire, given the kind of labor laws that we have, you are onboarding a lot of liabilities as well. So my recommendation for small startup businesses is that you modularize your business in a manner where the core team, which is responsible for the business, are the only ones who are on full-time employment. You create basically work modules which can be outsourced. All right. In that manner, you are actually not, while it might cost you a little fraction more, but you can scale it up or you can descale it depending on the volume and the requirement, and you will have that flexibility without having to take on a permanent burden. So create an org structure where you are bringing in a lot of part-timers, temps, or service contracts, where you bring in an agency, bring in a company which comes and does a part of a process end to end. And so they, depending on the volume of work, they can always add more people. If the activity level drops, you could always, so my suggestion would be for all startup companies which is in the process of scaling up, instead of creating our organization structure with permanent employees, create a business process and structure where it could be modularized and be handed over to partners who would come and run it. But the core of the business needs to be with the core team. So that would be one way of dealing with this problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Another question to you, sir. In future, how AI will impact the field of HR?
So AI is actually, first of all, I want to dispel this whole thing that like AI is today's invention. AI is not today's invention. AI as a science has been around for over 50 years. Possibly until now, it's the aerospace or aviation industry which used it in their everyday life. Now AI is being brought into mainstream business and to our everyday life. In fact, one of the first propagators of AI is the great mathematician Ramanujan. So every Indian should feel pride that today's modern day AI, the father of the modern day AI is none other than our own great mathematician Ramanujan. So it's an old science being applied to everyday life today. And so what is the basic benefit of AI? Basic benefit of AI is most of analysis that we've done so far is basically, it's on a historic data that you look at, you have data for last 3 years, you churn that, and then you try and create a pattern. AI has the ability to create with the mathematical modeling that it uses and the algorithms that it writes. It can also create predictive analysis. And when we are in business, which is very competitive, the cost of mistake is very high. We want to make all decisions which are very precise and is able to hit the problem on the head. So I think in every aspect of HR, AI can be brought in, whether it is your talent management, whether it is your selection process, or if you are a company which is actually maintaining all the information and data on a structured manner on a HRIS system, you can bring in a lot of analytics which can be done by AI to enable you to take a decision which is going to be more precise and more informed. Today, a lot of decision is taken based on looking at limited data points and primarily on our relying on our own wisdom and judgment. So the bias of judgment can always be done away with, and the decisions can be more focused and accurate. So I see a great role that AI will play in the HR field as well as it is doing in any other field.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So now question to Dr. Asit K. Burma, sir. Sir, Director, sir, you are here.
I'm here. I was just responding to different chat messages I was getting, and it is also marked to everyone. So I already started answering many of the questions posed to me, but you could ask me questions. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I could see. Thank you for your immediate responses to the many students and faculty who have been asking lots of questions.
Sir, the question is, sir, we had received a question through mail. And also we like to know that, so what are the courses you associate with the industry and offering through in BIM, sir? So courses associate with the industry or offering in BIM?
See, now what happens is that you have to do some kind of a segmentation. Like, so what courses we offer internally, what we look for outside faculty. And so my personal opinion is that I have too many HR faculty, too many economics faculty, and there are some challenges in that in all these schools, but I do not have too many faculty, say from analytics, from fintech area. So from finance, economics, I have many faculty. So in most of the B schools, what happens is, this number of faculty that you have area-wise, they vary. And you cannot have a single faculty. See, like when it comes to finance and economics, you cannot have, a faculty who can teach derivatives, who can teach risk management, who can also teach your, normal finance and accounting principles. So, or maybe the trading simulation. So you for that, so you need to create some kind of a core like basic, financial analysis and accounting, management accounting. You have the core faculty. You select them internally, and you get some one very good and preferably young faculty. And nowadays I recruit only from IITs and IIMs. So they come with a lot of research experience in the area of say trading, in the area of say other new age applications. And rest of the faculty I hire from the industry who have their PhD qualification or who have the academic blend. So getting faculty from industry also there is a challenge because they cannot sustain so many sessions. They try to kind of present something very superficial, and you cannot give the complete course walk to them. So you need to walk through them in the right way. If you just leave it to them, then in business strategy, they will take 15 sessions to teach Porter's 5-force model. Another 15 sessions, they will have student presentation. So 30 sessions are gone. So these aspects we have to look at. And today you have to do different accreditation like NBA, ACSB. For that, it's just not enough that you teach and you create a course curriculum. You have to come up with different, program outcome, how to map it, how to set the question. You cannot just like that set a question paper. You have to set a question paper is also, follow some kind of a method. So it is very difficult also to get the right guest faculty, industry faculty who can come and teach that. Okay. So these are things we have to keep in mind. But to answer your question in brief, so basically I'm getting those faculty from outside, from industry who take those modules of new technology aspects in the program curriculum. Like for HR, I have an expert from outside, from the HR area, who comes and teaches HR analytics and digital HR. Similarly, for fintech, I have a different faculty. For blockchain, I have a different faculty, because it is very difficult to build those expertise within the system. Again, when it comes to marketing, so a lot of other analytics aspects, I get faculty from outside, while some of the basic like marketing management 1, 2, services marketing, B2B marketing, and all that usual marketing topic, I do it through my internal, faculty members. And also like say blockchain application. So not many internal faculty members can talk about it. So you get practitioners from outside. So whenever you get practitioners from outside, attach one internal faculty member so that they can conform to the requirement we have today. So this is how broadly I work it out, and I made it a mandate to all faculty members that make sure every year your course content is changing by at least 30%. So you look at your course content. If you see that you are teaching the same content that you taught, say, 5 years ago, then it is time for you to go on retirement. Okay. So these are things that I ensure and I look at. And yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, definitely, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And the final,
Dr. Sundar, I will have to actually take your leave.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you very much.
Just wanted to let you all know that I would now would be looking forward to my next phase in life and career in a couple of months. And I would be more than happy to help associate in any form for any of the educational institutions that are looking forward to use my learnings that I've had over the last 38 years. And I would like to wish all the students all the very best and hope that they come back to the campus soon.
Yes.
So Mr. Ghosh, so do let me know when should I send ticket to you to come to Trichy. So my open offer is to you, and you come and my HR area.
Okay.
So your knowledge and wisdom will be most welcome. And I have quite a few faculty members from Kolkata who come here, teach brand management, teach marketing analytics, and quite a few of them.
Sure. Look forward to. I will connect you separately. I will take it to Jaram's help.
yes, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. So now this forum has also set some positive disruptions. So like the wonderful, this thing.
No, I have very
yeah.
close. I mean, I started my career in academics. My first 5 years of my career, I started working at IIM Ahmedabad as a research associate, and then I moved to industry. So I have a reverse journey, unlike most others. So now I think it's time that I would devote some time back to academics. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you for your time.
I would like to stay connected with each one of you. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
All the best for the students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So final question to Sitana Abraham, sir. Sir, your good self and GoShare have long stint within a single company, but one of the participants asking to avoid stagnation and to fast track a career and personal growth, you should be thinking about changing the career every 3 years. So that is a question asked by the participant, but as per panelists, both you have a long stint in a particular, there is a lot of contradiction in this. Sir, your suggestion, please, sir.
Yeah, this question is of very much importance to me on a personal note also. As you said, I'll be finishing 40th year this year, but 27 years I was with one organization. If I wouldn't have had the chance to meet the present MD, I would have stayed there and retired. But, this is the concept with some of the, so-called seniors or the previous generation people. But the youngsters in Indian Potash Limited also, many times, we tell people stay here for 20 years, 30 years. I know as a HR, I say that, as a positive thing, I presented some places that, people don't leave us, they stick on to us. But as a management, person, when I go through the concepts and all that, for example, the youngsters who come here, and for example, when I see the resumes also, if a person has jumped around 7 to 8 organizations, I ask them, what is the reason that you jump? Sometimes there are maybe some negative reasons with which may be jumping. But for these youngsters, and the person who has asked this question is, for this younger generation, this is the right concept, who say 3 to 5 years is the place or the time in which you'll have to jump, not as for jumping from one place to another. They say rolling stone has no mass. That's not just jumping from here and there, but you should have a clear-cut idea. As I said, upscaling, skill set improvement, all that. You should be able to present to the next organization, yeah, this is the way that I can contribute here. And you should have a higher position or higher, responsibilities and higher monetary, remuneration. Nowadays, people, they say, cash on hand, how much I'll get. Like, we talk about CTC in most of the industries. We say cost to company, we say push some of the benefits to the retirement thing. But these youngsters now, they ask, I'm not interested in what I'm going to get after 30 years. So now what is that? So for these youngsters, I said in the time also, as I didn't have much, there is a graph which says S curve. Your competency is there. When you switch over the confidence level, it will keep on increasing. Then the competency and the confidence level, when it reaches a point when you are able to know that it's only an internal thing with your performance, with your, your attitude and all that. That is the time when we'll have to switch over. People say it is usually 3 to 5 years. Now for the younger generation, I would definitely recommend 3 to 5 years. My son who's in US will always say, Papa, I can never be like you, working in an organization like this. Youngsters, I will definitely recommend you, if you are confident, if you are, your skill set improvement and attitude is fine. If you are able to contribute and say, yes, I can do much better, sky is the limit and you can definitely switch on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank
so,
you. Thank
so
you.
this is a very pertinent topic and very beautifully answered just now. But I have also some observation in this, and there is nothing wrong to spend time in a STEM organization for a long time. Like if you look at the well-known faculty members abroad, then you will find that they get tenured in particular university, and then from there on, next 35, 40 years, they spend their time there itself. Okay. So unlike the business schools in India, where you find that business schools are getting worse than even the IT companies, so they keep on switching jobs. It is because of the work culture in those business schools. So today, even for NIRF rank and different accreditations, those agencies look at how many years those faculty members have spent. Sometimes faculty members are recruited just before the team visits. Okay. So now, like in academics, if you want to know the culture and the DNA of any academic institute, any B school, then look at the average tenure of the faculty members in that school. If you find the average tenure of the faculty members in that school is 15 to 20 years or more, then you should not think that they are redundant people or they did not find a job anywhere. You must start respecting the administrator, the management, because they could create that culture. So this is one way of looking at it. If you look at the Tata Group, Tata Administrative Service, they recruit the people and that is where they grow. Even in the government organization, they recruit, and from there, from a junior engineer, they go on to become member of the board, whether it's the telecom board or the railway board, they move out. Similarly, Indian Administrative Service. So all that path-breaking initiatives are even the ISRO. So in all these places, they have a very good recruitment and then they foster it. So wherever people spend very long time, even you see that BHL, my institute is situated in BHL complex that is making loss, but it's still, they are very stringent selection criteria. In all the engineering colleges, not anyone can get into the core sectors. You will get into HCL, Wipro, Infosys very easily. They take hundreds of people, but you do not easily get into say L&T or BHL and such organization. You need to really slog it out. But what happens, so their selection criteria is so rigid that from there, they develop them, they nurture them, and they look at them as a lifetime opportunity. Like you don't get married to change your spouse in next 5 to 6 years, so that every 5 to 6 years you keep changing, That is not the way. So you look at a lifetime relationship. So all the chairman, CEOs, MDs of all the PSUs, the Tata Group and all these, or the Tisco or the automotive companies or even the Ashok Leyland of the world, they all are the Jindal Group, even this Goenka Group, they all rise from the rank because their recruitment is like that. So that is what in BEAM also, like I need more faculty, but I'm not recruiting. I'm recruiting only the brightest who are the Fulbright scholar and all that. Even if I miss out on faculty student ratio, let there be. I say that future director will be only from the ranks. And that is what you see also in institutes like IIM Ahmedabad and many other places, even in IIM Kolkata. So they rise from the ranks, so they are lecturer, assistant professor, and one day they aspire to become the director of that institute. So that is what my mission is. So having said that, when I sit on the other side of the table, I sat on the other side of the table for a long time. So it actually does not matter whether you are from a single organization or multiple organizations. What it matters is that how well you articulate, how well you answer, and the kind of depth you have in the subject matter. Okay, what is the point to see that you have some experience from 5 organizations if you can't answer some basic stuff, if you can't do well in the aptitude test? So that is my selection criteria. And if I see that you are changing your company too often, then I won't touch that candidate. I'll see that this candidate cannot stay anywhere. Rather, I'll have a lot of respect to see if someone is staying in a company for a fairly good time, maybe 5, 6 years. Okay. The other point is that the other side of this, that you also need to change company, change job, because I changed jobs about 5 to 6 times. Because as you change jobs, you get multiple perspectives. You have experience from different domains, from different tasks. Like my experience in academic experience is just 4.5 years. And after 4.5 years, then I have become director at BIM. And I feel that I'm doing a fairly decent job. So why it was possible? Because in the 4.5 years, I had multiple perspectives. I worked with international faculty members throughout the globe. They are the best in class. And then I became the placement chair. I coordinated ASSB accreditation. So a whole lot of, I coordinated with AICT for the seat enhancement. So many of the work that came to me, I was not too happy to take it, but I joyfully took it because each work gave me some opportunity to enhance my skill. So had I stayed only in one organization, then I would have been at the most marketing area chair or some good professor in marketing like that. But it is because I went through different institutes, even in the industry also, different companies I went through. So you experience different culture, you meet different friends, you create a lot of good contacts. All that matters. I was in Chennai for more than 10 years. I was actively engaged with CII, with FICCI at the top level, at Society of Automotive Engineers. I have interacted with all the universities, in Chennai, including SRM University. We have a huge hall. I gave lecture there. So all this was possible because I worked in different organizations, and in that my 33 years of experience of multiple organizations, I could build that perspective. So there are both sides. So you need to strike a balance. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your valuable information also. So at the end, so our heartfelt thanks and gratitude to all the panel members who would spare your valuable time, and that too your share your valuable information to all the participants, both faculty as well as the students. On behalf of SRM IST Ramapuram campus, College of Management and Business Standard. So once again, we extend a sincere thanks and gratitude to all the panel members and the participants from the student side as well as the faculty who enjoyed all the session. So definitely this session will lead you a different beginning. So those who are pursuing your management career, I hope you will receive a lot of information to shape up your career. And those who are doing undergraduate, that also it will also gives you a very good information how to select and how to build what are the skill set and the requirement needed by the industry. So now the panel discussion is over. I request the organizer to proceed, please. Jyoti ma'am, any formal vote of thanks is there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. By John F. Kennedy. On behalf of the College of Management, SRM IST Ramapuram campus, I, Dr. P. Jyoti, Associate Professor from MBA, deem it a great honor and privilege to deliver vote of thanks in the event jointly organized by SRM Institute of Science and Technology Ramapuram campus and our knowledge partner Business Standard. I owe my sincere thanks to our today's guest, Professor Dr. Neharika Vora, Vice Chancellor, Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University, for readily accepting our invitation to be a panelist in spite of her busy schedule. Today, we had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this is definitely encouraging us in our future events. We are extremely grateful to you, Madam. My profound thanks are due to Mr. Nihar Ranjan Ghosh, President, Human Resources, Imami Limited, for gracing today's event as a panelist and reframing the title of the event. Sir, I am pretty sure that your words of wisdom will definitely help the participants. It was really an informative session in two sense. Thank you, sir. I extend my deep gratitude to Dr. Ashit K. Barma, Director, Bharatidasan Institute of Management, Trichy, for accepting our invitation to be a panelist and delivering insightful information on the theme. Today, we have got a lot of information which will truly help our participants. We have no words to offer gratitude for your valuable presence in this event. You gave deep insights into the topic and revealed some interesting facts. Thank you, sir. It is a great privilege for me to thank Mr. Sitna Abraham, Additional General Manager, P&A, Indian Potash Limited, for his graceful presence and for sharing his precious thoughts on the given theme. Many thanks for your valuable insights, sir. Outstanding leaders go out of their way to boost the self-esteem of their personnel. If people believe in themselves, it's amazing that what they can accomplish. I feel extremely thankful to our venerable Dean, Science and Humanities, Dr. C. Sundar, for sharing his knowledge and wisdom in moderating today's insightful panel discussion on the theme Management Education, Preparedness for Disruptions. I owe my sincere thanks to you, sir. We wholeheartedly thank our beloved chairman, sir, respected co-chairman, sir, and the management for giving us an opportunity to conduct this one-day panel discussion. Our sincere gratitude to our knowledge partner Business Standard and Mr. S. Jairam, Regional Head, Market Development Business Standard, for co-hosting the entire event and constantly support rendered throughout the event. Sir, I hereby assure you that without your support, this event wouldn't have been possible. We are extremely thankful to you for your special interest in the development of our department. Thank you, sir. Our profound thanks are due to Dr. Sandeep Krishnan, COO, People Business, for his continuous support and guidance and bringing us all together. Thank you, sir. We extend our sincere thanks to Dr. R. Satyanarayanan, Placement Officer and faculty members of Bharathidasan Institute of Management, Trichy, for their support and participation. At this juncture, we also thank Group Captain Dr. R. Venkatraman, General Manager, Madras Management Association, for his support. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by very motivated and dedicated Head of the Department, Dr. R. Arulmali, who know his job and result-oriented. I extend my sincere thanks to you, sir. My deep appreciation to our faculty members for helping hand and the support, and I especially thank my colleague and friend, Dr. Priya, for helping for this event throughout. Thank you, Priya, and thank you all the faculty members. I extend my hearty gratitude to our students for the coordination of the smooth conduction of this event. Thank you, students. I am very much thankful to the entire participants from various colleges and institutions across India. I am sure that our college will continue to get significant provision from the diverse groups in the future. Last but not the least, my sincere thanks to Almighty God for making today's event a grand success. By His blessings and grace, we are able to make the event what it was. Thank you all for the opportunity.